Pierre, give us a rundown on what Flozy does as a business.
So Flozy is a super app for service-based businesses. Essentially allows them to create a portal to onboard their clients and manage all the different aspects of their business, from sending invoices to managing tasks to managing different files, as well as just creating full proposals all the way to contracting, invoicing, and being onboarded in the platform.
And then before working with Liam and myself, what was growth like for Flozy?
Because essentially I started this business with Iman Ghadzi, who has a big profile on social media, and that's where the vast majority of our early customer came in. And so what has been really interesting with us is in the early days of working with you guys, growth wasn't our main problem, which is quite different from a lot of other SaaS founders. But the main problem that we had is, again, we had this customer base that grew fairly quickly, but then at the same time, we had so many different things we had to work on. And again, the difficulty was to figure out where and what should we actually focus on. And this is really where, with you guys, we saw a dramatic difference in terms of making sure we focus on the right things that could yield the highest ROI, which then essentially, since we started working together, our growth has been phenomenal. And really, this is a clear, the result of us focusing on what matters the most. Because for us, what we're struggling with was stability of the platform, making sure things made all sense one after the other, because essentially we offer so many different tools in one that you guys helping us focus on things that matter the most really made the biggest difference.
So I guess given the focus on probably clarity more than necessarily growth, what problems do you think were solved particularly by working with Liam and I?
So I think one of the most important thing is when I first started working with you guys, as most SaaS founders, you tend to be kind of isolated and by yourself. Like, even though, of course, me working with Iman, we've got a massive team of people that can help us with many different things. But specifically on the software side, it was pretty much just me being alone in figuring out all the different aspects of what I need to work on. And so one of the biggest thing for me was even having you guys as a sounding board on, I had a lot of ideas of all the different things I wanted to do, but of course you guys really helped us focus on figuring out what I should work on. And this was in the form of like me saying all the different things I kind of want to work on and, should work on. And you guys really helped focus all of it in almost a sequential amount of sequential steps that made sense, instead of me working a little bit on that, working on that, but all of it didn't really make sense. We kind of rolled out a plan of thing. And so essentially I just felt less alone in that process, which really, again, working both with you and Leanne, which is so fun. Every single session we've had, from brainstorming to all of that, but that's really the main thing I got out of it. Like the feeling of not being alone and kind of do it with someone that has seen it, has done it. And that's really the main thing. Like, again, we all know roughly what we should be able to do or what we should do, but working with you guys really has helped in be like, this is what you particularly should focus on now, instead of like, I could have started working on sales, but at the point that I was on, there was no need for me to do that. It was better to work on, some of those super easy thing like tracking, that where internally we didn't have a lot of that. And that was a big focus from the get-go. You guys were like, okay, well, you need to make sure you've got all of those things in place, so then we can have educated decision both on the product side, all of that. And this is what I felt really kind of handheld throughout the process.
Yeah. So being as specific as possible, can you run through, I guess, some of the results that you feel like you received from working with us?
Well, so I think something that really made sense is when we first started working together, I didn't have a clear way to quantify what is an activated user. Like we just knew people that had gone through our free trial. And then after that, there was no clear metrics that we needed to hit in order to classify a user as an actual activated user. And so that in itself has made a massive difference, because now in our onboarding process of our users, we needed to make sure that they went through, again, a number of series of specific onboarding steps that would then make sure they are actually activated. And so by doing that, it just made the conversion rate from free trial to actual active user a massive difference. And so, yeah, I think that's one of the examples that, again, this lists plenty more, but that in particular made a big difference. So again, figure out, okay, cool, what do we need a user to do in order to be fully activated? And again, this was stuff, because we didn't have any metrics and didn't have any way to quantify any of that, it was just kind of random. So now we've got a very clear process of which step do we need the user to take within the platform to actually be fully onboarded. So that's one example. I think, again, they kind of similar, but really the tracking aspect of the platform, like really just adding way more tracking on all the different steps that a user takes, as well as on our end from like all the different analytics. So that for us, because we're lucky that growth kind of came fairly simply for us in the early days, but we had no clue to know any of it. So we couldn't even replicate it. We couldn't know how we could do better. And so, yeah, the tracking really made a big difference. And then just that gave us way more transparency in what's happening, didn't know where we should actually focus on. And one of the things we should focus on was that onboarding aspect of things, to really make sure we had a better experience for them to onboard a user, to make sure that they actually use the tool. So that's something that was very precise that we worked on together that made a massive difference, because of course, you can have a ton of free users. If those guys don't stay, then we all know what happens, right? Like a low churn is the worst possible thing as a SaaS founder. So that's been one of the biggest things, and we saw our retention just skyrocket like since we've done that. So yeah, that's been really good.
When we first started working together, I guess what were the specific problems that you felt like you faced and wanted to address when you came into the growsaas?
So I think the main thing for me was I just had so many different things on my plate, right? I just knew I had all of those different things I should work on, right? Like from sales to analytics to tracking to onboarding to customer experience, all of those different things I needed to work on. But I just didn't really know which one I should tackle first. And I think the clarity and the roadmap that we built together was really one of the main things that helped me tremendously to put all of those different things I needed to work on in a sequential order that made sense, which essentially led to what we've done now, which essentially we started working together in November or September last year. And again, through implementing all of those different things we've discussed, the business has now 3x'd, which is really impressive stuff. And again, I feel like now, because we started to implement really like marketing and sales, the work and the fundamental work we've done on customer retention and customer success and all of that is really paying off now more than ever. So not only has we currently 3x, but I feel like our retention and our churn rate is going to significantly, churn's going to go down, retention's going to go up. And again, we all see in the chart, like that's what we want to work on. And the combination of all of that is, it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, fantastic. I think given that you're in a unique position with a lot of the growth, especially in the early stages, and maybe even still to some extent now coming from Iman's personal brand in particular, do you feel like you have some clarity to be able to diversify that growth after working with us?
Massively. That has always been a big challenge of mine, to be like, cool. So yeah, we're incredibly lucky that Iman is providing unlimited leads, but at the same time, we know that if we really want to crush it, we need to go past Iman's sphere of attention. And so with you guys, we've really put all of the things in place to be able to do that, from the heavy sales systems that we discussed with Liam, all those different processes we put one after another, to again have the very clear marketing message that we're going to go and use again within the sales engine that we're building. So all of that, I feel like he really has helped us have a much more clearer marketing message to go to the market, because again, our tool does many different things, and so it's easy to kind of like say, oh yeah, we're just a super app, but again, what does that mean? That doesn't mean much to many people. So with you guys, we've really kind of distilled it and really look at all the different kind of user group that we were trying to target, and essentially build very clear marketing messages for each of those. And I feel like that's something that, again, Liam has been incredibly useful to help us do this, to really kind of figure out your ICP, and from there figure out what they actually want through research. With you guys, we conducted like a full survey of complete randoms that, again, is something I had never done before. Because again, I was mainly surveying a user base, which is useful, but again, our user base only came from one, lead source. And so now talking to absolute random people that were still ideal customer profile really allowed us to kind of come up with the actual messages that we should go to the market with. And now I feel like that has made a tremendous difference.
So from when we started working together in November, how long did it take before you started to feel like you saw the tangible results that came from working with us?
Yeah, so as I said, I think working with you guys, what really helped was to just, again, make sure we work on the things that make the most sense so we could get the results as soon as possible. And so that has been probably one of the biggest things, because again, there's so many things we all need to work on, but we all have a goal. And so we discussed in the early days, what is my goal? What are we trying to get out of this? And we identified the path to achieve that goal in the fastest amount of steps. And so, yeah, I think for us, we really saw pretty much immediate difference with our onboarding process for our users to really kind of have this customer success journey directly from the second people actually start using the tool with our free trial. And for us, we saw really changes within the first few months of us working together. And now, not even, 6-7 months later, massive difference. So I guess that's the thing. Whatever goal you have, probably if you do it by yourself, again, you'll get there. But what working with you really showed me was that we need to really prioritize on certain things that, again, increases the ROI and essentially shortens the amount of time that it takes for you to hit the goal quicker. So that has been one of the big things, I think.
So when you first came across Liam and myself, what made you decide to work with us?
All right, so this is again very interesting in a way that this all came about, because I met Will, and then essentially just through discussing with him his journey himself as well. Most of the time you hear of people having an education company and all of that, but they often don't really have a clear example of the journey that ourselves go through. So with you having started your own startup, selling the startup, and now working in many different things that actually shows you the inner working of how big teams work, as well as like all the different startups that you see, was really the insight I was kind of looking for. And also the ability to relate to the problem that I'm facing with what you have, that was one of the big things. And so when we first started kind of working together, it was more like as a friendship kind of thing that we built on. And then when you said you were doing this, I was like, well, this is exactly what I need. And so then you introduced me to Liam, and pretty much right away I was like, blown away. Not only was I blown away by you to start with, but Liam, again, with the first few interaction that I had, his just ability to explain really complex topic into super simple frameworks, that made a massive difference. And again, just the proof point of him having done what I'm trying to achieve for other businesses from a sales and a marketing standpoint, and that has been really impressive right from the get-go. So I think the combination of those two to kind of essentially speak with you and see your journey is something that I'm trying to replicate, and then speak to Liam, who's actually in the trenches day in, day out, with his agency. Well, I was just like, yeah, this is exactly the combination of the two that could benefit us right now, especially for me as a founder that mainly kind of works by myself. Then again, having almost this extra 2 team members really made a big difference. So I guess that's that in my thought process. That was like, yeah, cool. Now get almost this, I feel like it's kind of having a board of advisors in an essence that you get but also someone that really is keen for you to do well. And I think that's what really helped me make the decision to be like, yeah, let's do this. And again, I'm glad I did.
Yeah, thanks, Pierre. For someone who is on the fence about working with us, what would you say to them?
I just feel like, again, they understand the problems that you're most likely going through, which is everything from being alone working on your product and having everyone around you not understanding what you're working on, to the actual deep trenches in terms of the sales structure and building a full sales engine that we all know we need, but it's so complex that you don't even know where to get started. And again, seeing the inner workings that Liam have seen from all those different businesses, it's just it's pretty impressive. It's really crazy. So that is you now have direct access to this. So again, yeah, I'd say just the knowledge of someone who's already done what you try to achieve. Again, all distilled in such a easy to consume way, and again, that support that you get, I feel like, yeah, for me has been a massive difference, truly.
Well, after having worked with us, would you recommend us to other early stage SaaS founders?
I mean, definitely. I feel like really one of the biggest challenges we all face is kind of being alone in this journey. And so if for anything else, just kind of work with other people that have done what you're trying to do makes a massive difference. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I feel like if you're early stage, there's just so much noise on the internet, all those different YouTube videos, everything you should be doing. I think the biggest thing is working with people who's done what you're trying to achieve and essentially kind of build this roadmap that's unique for your business so you can focus on what matters to get the biggest results. I think it's a no-brainer. So yeah, if you're starting out, I think working with someone like you guys makes a massive difference.